Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broads. The Sixers get ran out of the gym in Boston. They go down pretty badly in Game 2. I'm not panicked. I'm disappointed. I'm not thrilled. But you did do your job, which is win one of two in Boston. I told you I would say that if they were to lose Game 2. Now, I didn't anticipate it being this ugly. I thought it would be more competitive. That third quarter, you get outscored 35-16. Boston created their separation. But there's also a reason why I projected a 7-game series, because this was never going to be easy, even though I was smelling myself after Game 1, because who wouldn't when you're down the big fella and you go into Boston with the statement? Of course I'm going to be proud of that moment, and of course I want to keep my foot on the gas and go for the jugular. But I told you all, if they were to lose, this would be my message. You did what you were supposed to. Now, you have to do step 2, which is take care of your business at home. And that means winning both games, so when you do go back to the TD Garden, you're in heavy control. So that's the second step to this. In regards to Joel Embiid playing, of course now there's morons out there that said, see, I told you so. What'd you tell me? That the Boston Celtics wouldn't miss their three-point shots? That they'd put up over 50 and they'd shoot the lights out and the place would erupt because it seemed like every single damn shot was going in? Is that what you thought would happen with Joel Embiid playing the game? Joel was going to have rust. And yes, there was rust on the offensive side. Defensively, the first half, yes, you see 5 blocks, and Jaylen Brown tries to go up, but he meets him at the rim. He was fantastic on the defensive end, and you could see the difference from when he was out there compared to when he wasn't out there. With that said, though, yes, they did struggle offensively. And whether he deferred at times where I thought maybe he'd be a bit more aggressive, the feel-out process, that's going to happen whenever he sees the floor again. If that wasn't happening tonight, guess what? It would happen in Game 3. The rust is inevitable. So you either get it out of the way in a road game when you get blown out, or you lose Game 2. Look, with Embiid or without Embiid, if the Celtics are scoring like that, you aren't winning the basketball game. Even with how the Sixers won Game 1. If the other team shoots over 70% in a half, more times than not, you lose that basketball game. The rust would have happened in Game 3 then. At some point, he had to get his ass back on the floor and go out there and work through it. The Sixers made the right decision by having him play with the brace, and you work through it. I don't expect James Harden to shoot 2 of 14. That sucked. George Niang hesitating, shooting the basketball right before half, which helped Boston create some momentum. That was killer. The 50-50 balls, it felt all of them went to Boston. They played with more edge, for sure. It seemed like they played with the knowledge of knowing they can't go down 0-2 back to Philadelphia. There's a reason why. And they said this on the broadcast, that when you're an away team and you win Game 1, 15 straight times now, the home team wins Game 2. There's something about it. Now, think about it. You're the higher seed for a reason when you are the home team first. So yes, when a team snags Game 1, and gets a big W on the road, that home team, they're the home team for a reason. They have the higher seed, and they know what's at stake. They responded. This was never going to be a walk in the park. It was never going to be an easy series. But every game, I want everybody to remember this. Every game is so different. Look how differently both of these games played out. Game 3 will look completely different. There's going to be a different player who steps up. At some points, Marcus Smart was bothering the hell out of me because he was making buckets, he was flexing, he was being annoying, but he was scoring the rock. That was Marcus Smart today. I don't know if Marcus Smart's going to do that. At some point, I bet you Al Horford has a game where he hits 4 threes, 5 threes. It'll make me sick. It'll be extremely painful. But today, he couldn't buy one. The crazy part is the 1 3 he did make, it came off of what I thought was poor battling from the Sixers. I'm watching Maxey at times. The ball's right there. It's 50-50. You got to want it more. You got to have it. Instead, Celtics continue their possession. They're diving on the loose balls. They're on the ground. They're on the floor. They're keeping things going. Also, they're getting out in transition. Your poor offense is helping the Celtics pursue what they want to do, moving quickly. They controlled the entire game. And at some point, it just absolutely got away from you. And at half, I actually thought you were in your striking distance. That's one of Doc's messages. Stay within range, and then in the fourth, it's time to go. They were down 8 at half, even with the Niang nonsense, which definitely was killer. It definitely had a different feeling to it after Niang. Niang's having a rough one. Jalen McDaniels isn't impressing me much. While Malcolm Brogdon is a key piece to their bench, I didn't think Derek White would have the same performance he had in Game 1. But you're down 8, shooting 1 for 13 from 3. You would think the numbers would pick back up. You would think it would even itself out. But that wasn't the case. And I wouldn't say this is a throw-it-away game because it's the postseason. You have to dissect what went wrong. You have to look at why the Celtics were able to make you that uncomfortable offensively, what they did differently. You have to find ways to counter what they did today. So there's no throw it away. You got blown out. Just go back and, go back to Philadelphia and start over in Game 3. There's lessons to be learned about this one. But you got to remember that there's going to be a ton of ups and downs here. There's going to be awesome quarters, bad quarters, great stretches, ugly stretches. You're playing a good opponent. This is how it was always going to go. This time of the year, when you get a matchup like this, it's not a 4-game series. It's not a 5-game series. It's hell. And you have to be ready and prepared for it. You can't go too heavy and too extreme. Look, the playoffs are the best time of the year because everything matters that much more. But I do think the reaction game by game, the narrative switches so heavily, it gets irrational at times. And when the Sixers won Game 1, definitely had a certain type of way to feel about it. I won't sugarcoat that. At the same time, though, I think things get so heavily pulled from the game that it reaches a level of, well, that's just too outrageous. That's just too strong. Opinions get too much. What you take out of it and what you digest, sometimes it's like, well, come on. Let's see that happen again first. Let's see that happen in 3 games. If you think it's going to play out a certain way because of one game, then okay. When I see it happens 4 times, the Celtics winning the same way 4 times to close out a series, then I'll believe it. But what happens when James Harden has another fantastic game? Doesn't need to be 45, but when Joel knocks off the rust and then Harden just plays better, let's say he gets 27, also mixes in 12 dimes, and the team has the home crowd behind them in South Philadelphia, so when their 3 start falling, it gets just as loud as we heard in the TD Garden. Another stat for you. Before tonight's game, I saw that the Boston Celtics were 6-8 in their last 14 home games. I know you would love to think that, well, because that's the record in their last 14, it's telling you something. They're not as good at home, and they're very beatable at home. That's real. I'm also wondering, though, when does that break? Because at the end of the day, I do think the Celtics are too good for that to be their record on their home floor. It's about the law of averages. It's about evening it out. It's irritating, though. I'm not saying it's easy. We need to have the determination, though, to understand what we're in. We're in a war. We're in a battle. You have to control the emotions through the journey. Have fun with it, because that's the beauty of being a sports fan. I don't want people to not embrace what it's about, but we need to keep it within the walls. Keep it within the range. And when you see an outing like this, I want it to burn. Having it burn is great. I'll relate this to Joel Embiid saying that he truly did care about winning the MVP. He only said he didn't so the media would get off of his back. But there was a purpose to win it. There was a drive. Of course, I want there to be that. Because at the end of the day, that drive sets you up for success. Having the care and the want-to be the most valuable player, which is an individual award, realizing that the MVP of the NBA Finals is way better, knowing that winning the actual NBA Finals is such a massive task and way more important. If that's a step along the way, I want Joel Embiid to embrace that. I want fans to embrace how this is going to go. I just don't like some of what I saw 5 seconds after. This team's pathetic. Game 1 was a joke. Game 1 wasn't real. This is really who they are. Why? Why is this the game that they are who they are? They stunk. The Celtics, they had more of the fire today. I think they understood the assignment. Get the win, because it would be a disaster to go down 0-2 to Philadelphia. Not that the series would be over because you have to win 4, but man, the hole you dug yourself was huge. They knew what was on the line. They competed for the 50-50 battles, I thought, way harder than the Sixers did. It was a bad game. But I know that this team in Philadelphia is different this season. They've handled adversity differently than in years past. They've had the response and they've had the answers more than they haven't. This was always going to be a tough matchup against this team. But you can break this team, even with the matchup and with the roster. It might look different than in other series. I don't know if George Niang's the answer. But for everyone, remember, screaming, oh, Jalen McDaniels, you got someone there. Have you really enjoyed Jalen McDaniels to this point in the postseason and what you saw the first 2 games here in Boston? I know I haven't. The players have to execute. It starts with the big fella offensively. It starts with James Harden. Maxey was always going to be an X factor and has struggled when seeing this team. I've been more intrigued than not. I think he's figured some things out. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it's where it needs to be, but I think he's found something at times for his game to work, for the Sixers to benefit from his skill set. But then again, if he's doing solid things, but James Harden is shooting 2 of 14, then it won't mean much. Then it's irrelevant. You got your James Harden game, and it happened at a time that you really need it. I'm not ruling out it happening again, but you got it game 1. You got a stinker game 2. I want to see how this team fights through this. Every squad that eventually hoists the final trophy, they have to go through some sort of tougher time. You don't just sweep everything. You don't just handle your business. There's going to be blows. You're going to have a black eye. How do you perform when that's the case? What's the reaction? And I have faith that they have the mold to do it. PJ Tucker. In game one, there were all those clips of him screaming at Paul Reed on the bench. That's the way that he motivates this team, and they have connected with that all year long. They chew him out. That inspires. It's clicked. Let's see how he, in the room, has everyone focused and lasered in to make it look more like game one than game two. Not everything in game one. Points in the paint. Oh, God, that was rough. Over 70% from the field. Oh, man, in the first half. Ew. You know what I mean, though. Let's see the team as a group collectively pick themselves up. And I know PJ Tucker's voice is extremely loud and extremely important. They value it tremendously. I'm sure he had a bunch to say tonight to keep everyone locked in and on the same page. I want to get a few quotes from Joel, but I didn't get a chance yet to see what he had to say. I don't know if he even spoke yet. I listened to Doc Rivers before I recorded this, but Tobias Harris said the Sixers did not match the Celtics' energy tonight, despite anticipating that the energy coming before the game. Too many empty possessions. We have to be better as a group. Defensively, we have to be better keeping them in front of us. And offensively, we have to make plays for one another. I think that's important to note, the anticipating the energy. See, if they were able to kind of calm the storm early, it would have been so nice. Now, normally, and I think of this with hockey just because that's the sport I played. When you were going on the road, let's say at one point we played Hobart, who was ranked 6th in the country in the first round my freshman year on the road, and that place was gnarly. The place was rocking. It was intense. And it was stressed. Look, the first 5 minutes, there will be a wave. If you can just ride that wave for the first 5 to 7 minutes, let the game get established, and from there, let's get into what we want to do. I don't think that that's a bad way to approach it, but with the Sixers, something I was really looking forward to was, instead of riding the wave, all right, they get out to a 12-2 run because they're playing with attitude. I'm saying the Celtics, that is. And then from there, you let the game kind of run its course, and you crack back into it little by little, and before you know it, it's tied at the end of the first quarter, I'm saying, after a 12-2 run. That would be riding the wave. What I really wanted to see was, how about the Sixers don't even let the wave happen, and they take all of the life out of the building by you starting off on a 12-2 run. Have the Celtics think, okay, let's crack back into this, so by the end of the first quarter, it can be tied. Or halfway through the second quarter, there's something to that. I wish that's the way it started, and I felt it was important for it to happen, and obviously it wasn't to that degree. When Tatum started picking up fouls, though, I thought, here's an opportunity. Al Horford's missing everything. Jason Tatum had to be pulled off the floor because of the foul trouble. Once again, didn't work out that way. There was one spot, and there's so many times throughout the game that you can feel an energy shift in a game of runs. The Niang one was big, but I actually thought when Joel went up and blocked Jaylen Brown, you could feel how the building shifted in emotion. And I wrote that down wondering if I would date back to it. If the Sixers went on a huge, massive spurt, outscoring the Celtics 35-16, 38-14. After that block, it's like, dude, That's where it was. That's where it shifted. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, but the possession after, you could feel the building almost stunned with what Joel did. Sometimes that's enough of a play for your team to build off of that, or for the other team to deflate. But when Niang makes a Niang play, no matter what happened with Joel and Jaylen Brown, you get it right back, and then that's enough. So, I mean, it sucks. It sucks. It's not fun. It's bad. It's just not over. Oh, man, that's not right. Someone tweeted, Derek Gunn tweeted, was tonight a scheduled loss for Doc Rivers? Asking for a friend. That's not right. Come on, man. I don't think Doc deserved that. He's part of the unit, though. I blame the players. I blame Doc, even though not as much on Doc as the players. Thought the players stunk. One team got ice cold. One team got red hot. That was the biggest issue today. But as a whole entire team, Doc is a part of it. They didn't do enough. I think they will do enough, though, in Game 3. I'm waiting for Joel, but if he doesn't speak by the end of this, so be it. Let's go to the Anytime Hotline, and let's listen to you all. Start things off here.
Hey, bros, I'm interested to know your take on the flow of the offense tonight for Philadelphia. In Game 1, obviously, there was a lot of back and forth without all the fouls being called for either side. And in this game, there was James Harden free throw line sighting. Joel got some as well. By the way, Joel was fantastic as a defender. I'm impressed as a Celtics fan of how quickly he was able to recover on a lot of those Tatum drives and basically just being a monster rim protector. But yeah, I thought the pace of your team was not all that great. 3-point shots were not going in either. I think that ends up being the big difference. Paul Reed played well. And yeah, I'm interested to know what you think of the game. All right.
Appreciate it. Defensively, Joel was a monster. For him to be that active with the knee brace and where he is physically, he hasn't played in a long period of time. A few Thursdays ago was the last time he was on the floor. So for him to look that spry and have that much jump in him defensively, I thought that was very important. But yeah, offensively, it was not smooth. It was not smooth. It got slow-paced. It died down. They weren't feeding off one another. They just didn't make enough plays. They weren't moving well enough. I didn't think they moved the basketball, had as well as good looks. Embiid trying to force a pass through the paint where there were, 3 defenders. The Celtics go out in transition after that. I thought he forced the pass there. Thought there were some mismatches that they didn't take advantage of in certain possessions. You play a certain way all year long with Joel. You have him operate at the nail, and that's how he won MVP. You win in 4 against the Brooklyn Nets, and then you have a while Atlanta played Boston strong for 6 games to incorporate and replenish some things in your offense without Joel. Now Joel re-enters after that missed time. It stinks. But it takes time to find it again. And that was the issue for me offensively. You take 14, 15 days off. I know I want it to be perfect, and you would think you wouldn't skip a beat, but it's clear they did. And I thought Boston's intensity forced you to look that way at the same time. So it's a combination of both of those. Rust because of the Sixers, and then I can't discredit the way Boston played. Because just watching, it was obvious which team had more fire out there. And Boston's fire defensively, with some of their matchups, how they used Jaylen Brown, it was a big reason why it looked as ugly. I would feel differently, though, if I didn't think the Sixers had the answers. When you know you're outmatched and you know you're going to get whipped around, let's look at the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets had no answers. So you knew the final result was going to be they're back home and they're going golfing. There was nothing they could do. 0% chance of the Brooklyn Nets having success. 0. There's a high percentage that the Sixers have the answers. Not saying it's easy. In fact, out of all the teams remaining, and even if Milwaukee was still in play, you're lined up against the team that might make it the hardest for you. Making it the hardest for you, though, is not saying you can't do it. You're going to have to grind a lot. You're going to have to make tough shots. Everything is that much more dialed in, and the margin's that much smaller when thinking about errors. But they have the talent. They have the coach. Can they execute it? That's what we need to find out. Deep down, I believe the answer is yes. I do. Let's go back to the phones.
So there's 2 minutes left in the third quarter. We're losing by 26 points. And I just want to say this is why your asinine take about not keeping Joel Embiid out was stupid, because he clearly looks gassed. I don't care about his 5 blocks. I don't. You know why I don't care about it? Because they were eating us alive in the paint. We still won last game. So please, before you assume that one thing works so well, look within yourself. Thanks. Bye.
No, I think your take's stupid. How about that? I think your take is absolutely stupid. So you think how they won game 1 is they could do that every game and beat the Celtics? You think they could allow that? Whoa, they in game 1, look at all the points scored in the paint, and they still won. Yeah, it was awesome in that one-game sample size. You think that's a recipe for success? That's stupid. You know what that is? That's stupid. What a ridiculous phone call. An embarrassment, some would say. Joel Embiid should have played, because in your eyes, playing him today was bad, right? Okay. And he had rust, which is how this works. You can't run away from that. And in fact, keeping him out longer would result in more rust. So if he waited until Friday, if he waited until Sunday, the rust builds. The longer you're out, it takes more time to feel it back out. Fair? Okay, let's go with that, bros. I think that's fair. If you thought Joel Embiid lost the game for you and Doc made a horrendous decision by plugging back in, obviously we saw the game. He was healthy enough to play, so that wasn't an issue. Healthy, I'm saying knee-wise, with the brace, he was absolutely able to move up and down on the floor. Decision-making offensively, that stuff, different story. I'm talking about staying upright, active. Obvious as hell. He could have done it. So you're Doc Rivers. He wins the most valuable player in the league the day before. Nah, let's not play him. If you're the head coach and that's what you think is best, you should be blackballed by the league. You should never allowed to be in an NBA arena again. I'm saying as a fan, not just getting canned and then never coaching in the league again. You shouldn't be allowed in a city that has an NBA team. What type of fool thinks that putting Embiid back in is a disaster? There's plenty of other variables on what happened today. The Celtics couldn't miss a damn shot. The Celtics had a barrage of threes from everywhere. And they just created so much separation. That third quarter got ugly. That's what happened. If Embiid didn't play and the Celtics made those shots, you would have lost the game. Then what? Should they bring Embiid back in the game 3? Should they not? I pray for you. I do. I pray for you. I think it's important to pray for the ones that need some help. I'm here for you. I mean that.
What a pathetic effort, Broads. One question: did we even want to win this game? Because I saw zero effort from the Sixers today, and I know people are going to celebrate. Joel's got his MVP and stuff like that, and that's great. But I just want to get past the second round. Is that too much to ask for at this point? Just get past the second round. For me, it's great that Joel got MVP, all that stuff, but we still have a series to play now, right? And now the pressure is on the Sixers to take care of business at home. With Joel, I don't want to use the injury excuse. We didn't need him to play today, so the fact that you played today means that he's healthy. If anything, he looked out of shape to me.
I'm going to stop you there. I completely disagree. I thought Joel Embiid looked fantastic from a shape standpoint. What went wrong with Embiid, in my eyes, wasn't knee-related. Maybe making certain decisions because of the pace of the game and being off of the floor for so long. But physically-wise, I saw a physically solid Joel Embiid, so I completely disagree. But Embiid did speak. We wanted to win both games, but it's not easy. When you beat a team like that, they're a really good team, and you know they're going to respond at home with their fans. We didn't make any shots. Joel Embiid says he feels pretty good. Embiid says Boston played with more desperation tonight. The Sixers need to be a better team. We'll fix it. I absolutely agree with Joel. Embiid said he was a bit surprised by how good he felt as far as mobility goes. Oh, you don't say. I've grown a lot, and I found ways to take care of myself, and I know what to do. I thought tonight was fine, but should be better as every day goes on. We didn't execute what we wanted to, and we have to be better. And they will. You hear me? They will. All right, we're wrapping it up. Appreciate it. We'll be talking soon. Catch you on the next one.